welcome to my channel, JamieSageKnits. Today I'll be making my first video, which is a knitting podcast. I have been knitting for over 15 years now, but in the last year or two I've gotten much more into it and moved from kind of more basic projects like scarves and hats to more complex invested projects like sweaters and incorporated color work, cables, all these sorts of things. And at this point, knitting is probably my favorite hobby and the one that I'm most passionate about and invest the most time in. And I've really been enjoying watching some other knitting YouTubers and getting inspiration from their videos. So I thought it would be fun to join in and start making some videos of my own and see how that goes. I currently live in New York City. I'm lucky to have a few friends here that I do knitting with, and we can kind of connect on that hobby, but I'm looking forward to getting more connected online and just meeting even more people and getting to engage with people who share this hobby and this passion. So for my video today, I will be following along with the structure that I've seen for a lot of podcast videos, where I'll talk about some of my recently completed projects, my works in progress, and then any yarn acquisitions. And today's video might be a little bit on the shorter side just because it's my first time and I'm getting into it, but I guess we'll have to see. So if you're here and interested in watching, thank you, and hopefully you'll find the video interesting today. So actually, before I even get into my recently completed projects, I wanted to just share a little bit about the shirt that I'm wearing because it's one of my favorites. This is a modification to the Waterbender Sweater, which is a pattern by Pufido Knits or Pufido. And I was lucky enough to get to test knit that sweater back, over a year ago now. And that sweater is so beautiful. It has these like really interesting increase, decrease details all the way down the sleeve. And so it's really a statement piece, and it's made with merino, so it's quite warm. And I just loved the design so much that I wanted to make a modified version that I could wear in the spring and summer. And now towards like early fall as well. So I made this version in cotton. I used the Cotton DK yarn from Knit Picks in the colors Hydrangea and Clarity. And I followed the pattern basically exactly, except I used like a smaller size than I would otherwise because I knew the gauge would be a bit different and the cotton would stretch out a bit. And then I just stopped the sleeves after only a couple of repeats and did an I-cord edge. So I really love this. And I actually wear this t-shirt version more than the sweater because it's really fun to just throw on in the summer, and I've gotten so many compliments and questions about it. So I'll just show off a little bit of the sleeves and this really cool raglan. Yeah, absolutely love it. Would definitely recommend. I was a bit intimidated by the two-color brioche and by all these increases and decreases, but the pattern is so well written, so clear. I would definitely recommend it, and it's really fun and engaging. So yeah, absolutely love that one, and I was excited to wear this shirt for my first time filming today. Now getting into my completed projects, I have two to share. Both of them are summer tops. I've really been focusing on wrapping up those projects before I move into fall. And I wouldn't say that I'm a monogamous knitter. I kind of used to be, but recently I try to have, 2 to 3 works in progress at one time so that I have a couple different things depending on my mood, but my attention isn't too spread thin. And so in terms of my recent knits, I had one that is kind of a lace project. This is the Kuutar top by Sari Nordland. This is knit with a fingering weight yarn, so I used Knitting for Olive merino in the color petroleum green, and I used 2 balls or 100 grams, so around 500 meters to complete this. And I really, really enjoyed this project. I thought it was so fun. The lace was really engaging. It opened up really beautifully with blocking, and it has this I-cord edging, and then you knit that up into the straps. I forget if she mentions this in the pattern, but I would definitely recommend making the straps a little shorter than you want them, or else like kind of stretching them aggressively as you knit them, because they have stretched out a little bit with wear, with the weight of it. I don't mind. I think it still looks pretty nice on, but it's just something to keep in mind. And then I also had seen some comments or reviews that the armhole was too big, so I think I joined in the round about 1 inch before the pattern recommends, and I think that was a good call. So this is another another pattern that I would definitely recommend. It was my first pattern from Sari Nordland, I think, and it was a very positive experience. It was very clearly written, um, and it was just an absolute joy to knit up. You can see it's a little wrinkled, but it's really fun. It has this double knit hem at the bottom, and I just think it's really like a classy, simple, timeless knit. I will say with the straps, I just wear them with a bra and my hair kind of obscures it, but that's something to keep in mind as well. You could wear it obviously with a strapless bra. You could wear it with the bra straps if you don't care. Maybe you could wear it with, I don't know if you could wear it without a bra because of the lace. So just something to think about. And then of course, you can transition it into the fall with like a cardigan or a jacket. So I would really recommend this one. And even with the merino, I don't find it scratchy at all. I don't find it really too hot. Of course, it's not quite as breathable as like cotton or linen or even silk, but yeah, I think it's really nice. It is pilling a little bit in the armpit, but nothing too bad. When I wear it, I don't really notice. And then the rest of it is looking so beautiful. So yeah, this is definitely another pattern that I would recommend, especially if you enjoy lace knitting, because it was just so fun. And the lace is on both sides. The next finished object is my most recently completed one. I just finished blocking this a day or two ago, and this is the mixed rib cami handmade by Florence. And this one I also use knitting for olive merino. This one is in the color lavender blue, and I also used 2 balls or around 100 grams. This one I just kind of knit down until I was running out, and then I cast off. So this one you can see is in this beautiful ribbed pattern where it alternates these areas of like kind of thicker stockinette ribs and then thinner twisted knit and then purl stitches. So I think that makes a really cool look. And it has these I-cord details around the neckline, the armholes, and then the bottom actually was just like a plain stretchy bind off, but I decided to add an I-cord so it would match, and I really am happy with that choice. It is started from the top with the straps, and then you pick up stitches in order to, oh, my seam doesn't look too obvious, but you pick up stitches. I think you do the back first and then go into the front and then pick up stitches on the neckline and then knit down in front and back panels and then join in the round at the armpit, maybe. So I found the top half like really fun because, you know, there's a fair amount going on, and the panels weren't too big. And then once I joined, even though I prefer knitting in the round, once I got down to like here, it was a little bit of a slog. Like the ribbing is just a lot going on. Oh, that reminds me, there's a little bit of waist shaping, which is nice. So this was kind of a labor of love. I did have to kind of force myself through it towards the end, and it went from being a process knit to a product knit probably around like 2/3 of the way through. But overall, I really am happy with the end product. One thing I'm thinking about is you can see here, it's like not super obvious, but there's a couple of spots where I think the yarn just like didn't really take the dye, which I've never seen before with knitting for olive, and I'm a little annoyed, but I only noticed it originally when I was blocking because it became much more obvious. And now, I don't know, it's not too obvious, but it kind of bothers me. So what I might do is use the little bit of scrap yarn that I have and go in and kind of try to like knit over it within the ribbing pattern to obscure it. That would be much easier if it was just plain stockinette. So I'm not exactly sure how that's going to turn out, but I might as well try and see how it goes. And if I do that, maybe I'll report back in the next podcast. But overall, the pattern was really clearly written, really enjoyed it. I don't know if I would make it again personally, but I would recommend it, especially if you're someone who likes more cropped tanks, because that would eliminate the only portion of this that I didn't enjoy as much, which was like how far I wound up knitting down on the body. So I think if you stopped a few inches shorter, it would make a really cute cropped tank, and then it would be a more enjoyable project overall to knit. But yeah, I really love this one, and I'm really looking forward to wearing it. Next, I want to talk about a couple of works in progress. So I think I mentioned I was really focused on wrapping up my summer knits, and then now I'm getting to put my attention into my more fall winter projects. And I have two that I want to talk about. One of them actually isn't even a fall winter project, it's just one that I wasn't able to force myself to finish. Um, but I'll talk about that in a minute. First, I do want to talk about my current sweater project. I had to put this one on hold in the spring because it just got too warm, even like in my air conditioned apartment, to hold it on my lap. But I got to pick it up again a week or two ago, and I have been really enjoying it. So this is the Wishbone Sweater by Veronica Lindberg, or Kuutar. This is the second pattern of hers that I've done, following the Arctic Light sweater. And I have really enjoyed her patterns from what I've seen of them so far. I feel like they're really well written, really clear. I really enjoy her use of cables and of twisted rib stitch or half twisted rib. And so I have just really been loving how this sweater looks so far. You can see there's some short rows in the neck. It is knit top down, starting off in the round, and then at the shoulders, the shoulder seams are put on hold, and then it's knit in front and back panels, joined in the round, and then you go back and pick up stitches around the shoulder in order to add the sleeve. So it is kind of a drop shoulder, but that seam element adds something interesting that I haven't experienced before. You can see on this side where I haven't picked up the sleeve, there's like this seam, and then the sleeve hole where I pick up the stitches. Then you can see on this side where I have picked it up, and so yeah, it's been like really fun and engaging to knit. It's been a little bit slow because it's all in half twisted rib, and then there are these really cool wishbone cables. In terms of the yarn, it is made with a DK wool or other yarn held together with a mohair. So it's knit on 5mm needles. So at least it has that going for it in terms of like the speed of working up the fabric. So even though it's really complex, the yarn is not too thin. And personally, I'm using Drops Daisy in light nougat, held together with Drops Kid Silk in the color light beige. And I know some people have mentioned they don't find Drops Kid Silk that soft, or they find it scratchy. Personally, I guess I'm not that sensitive to mohair because I don't find it that scratchy at all. I've used it for the Arctic Light sweater. I used the same combination, really loved it, using it again but in a different color. And even though these yarns are quite inexpensive, I enjoy both of them a lot, and I think they make a nice product. So I think they're a great budget option. And I just wanted to show again the stitch definition. I think it's so beautiful. I know it'll relax a little bit with blocking, and I'm really excited to hopefully finish this up in the next couple of weeks and get to wear it this fall. I'm knitting it in a size large so that it's a bit of an oversized slouchy fit, and I can wear it tucked into jeans or into a skirt, or I can also wear it loose over leggings, and I just think it'll be so cozy and fun. So I'm really excited about this one. It's been such a pleasure to work on, and I can't wait to finish it. The other work in progress that I wanted to talk about is the Melides Dress by Inez Oliveira. So this is a kind of tank dress that you can knit to whatever length you would like. I'm planning to do a midi length, just like the sample in the Ravelry pattern. And this is knit with a recommended yarn of Knitting for Olive Pure Silk, which I am using in the color Plum Rose. This is 100% silk, fingering weight, 50 grams to a ball with 250 meters. And I had never knit with this yarn before, and I am enjoying the fabric that it's making. It has a beautiful drape. I do find it a little dry to work with, and this also is knit totally flat, which is not my favorite to knit. So I think that's why, even though I started this back in the spring, I'm still carrying it into fall. I'm not planning to hibernate it or like put it totally aside, because what I found best for this is if I just try to knit a couple of rows every day and just kind of chip away at it. Don't force myself to work too hard on it, but also don't allow myself to like totally put it aside. And so I'm really excited to have this hopefully done for next spring. And this is like, one of the biggest projects that I've done. It's been really a labor of love. But I'm really excited to hopefully be able to wear it. And I'll share a little bit about the construction. So this dress is started with a provisional cast on at the waist and then knit up into, it's not panels exactly because they're all knit together, but sometimes you put a part on hold and then knit up one part and then the other part. So that creates these like four portions that will be joined into the straps. And so it's knit all open, and then eventually we'll have maybe like an I-cord edging. I haven't read that far ahead in the pattern, but I think it's an I-cord edging and then buttons. So it'll be buttoned all the way down, which is kind of interesting. Once you knit up to the straps, the pattern recommends leaving them on hold because the weight of the dress really pulls down. And so once you've knit to the length that you want, then you go back and see how long you want the straps to be so that it sits at an okay place. You pick up the provisional cast on, do a couple rows of linen stitch to create some structure around the waist, and then knit down. And you can see my skirt is getting pretty long. I still have a ways to go, even accounting for a little bit of like stretching from the weight. I probably needed a few more rows, a few more inches. And at this point, I don't even know how many stitches I have on the needles. I'm in the middle of a round, or of a row. But, you know, every row takes, I don't know, a while, especially on the purl rows because I'm not a very fast purler. So, yeah, I think you can probably tell I have, like, mixed feelings about this project. I would say it's more, at this point, of a product experience. Like, I'm looking more for the product than the process. But I'm hoping that the final product will be worth it. I had the chance to kind of try it on, even though there's not the buttons, but kind of hold it around my body, and it does seem like it will fit. One other aspect of this project is that it's not exactly made to measure, but you kind of splice together segments based on your bust, your waist, your high hip, and your low hip measurements, which I love in a dress because my bust and my hip measurements are usually for totally different sizes. And then it does have instructions for how to transition between those sections. So I do really like that. For that reason, your gauge is really important, especially your stitch gauge. So I made sure that mine matches up okay. And yeah, I am excited to, I don't know how much I'll have to report back in my next podcast necessarily, but over time, hopefully I'll have some interesting stuff to report and I'll get to the finishing touches and have a completed project for the spring. And this is my first project that includes buttons, so that will be interesting as well. If you're interested in making this project, I will note the sizing instructions include 31 to 50 inch bust, but there's also directions for if your bust is outside of that range, how you can still adapt the pattern. So I think it's great. It's very size inclusive. It's clearly taken so much work. It's one of the patterns I'm like most impressed with in terms of like the math of the design. And I think it creates such a beautiful, timeless product. So I just wanted to chat a little bit about that. And if you have made this dress or are making this dress, you know, please comment below and let me know what you thought about it or what you are thinking of it. And that's really all I have today in terms of finished projects and works in progress. I probably will pick up another fall project soon, but I was really excited to get back into the Wishbone Sweater, so I'm knitting, you know, pretty focused on that for the time being and mixing in a bit of the Melides Dress. I do have some new yarn that arrived recently, and I probably will be tempted to start another project soon. I'll talk more about that in my fall knitting video, which I'm planning to make soon, or my fall knitting plans. But I would love to show some of the yarn that I acquired. A lot of this, almost maybe all of this, is drops. I mentioned before, I think that's such a great budget choice. I've really enjoyed every project that I've knit with their yarn. And personally, I do find it really soft, really comfortable. And so I decided to order some online. Previously, I've ordered through like Wool Warehouse and Lind Hobby, which are like European websites that ship to the US. But this time when I was looking it up, I found this company Rito, which I hadn't heard of before. It's just RITO. And they had even cheaper prices on drops and shipped to the US for free if your order is over $150. So I was like, I'm just going to order all my yarn I got this huge bag. Oh my gosh. The day this arrived was one of the most exciting days for me. So much yarn. But this will probably tide me through basically the entire fall and winter of knitting, especially because I mostly knit sweaters. So it's a bunch of like big projects. And I am probably most excited for the BB sweater, which I'll talk more about, like I said, in my fall knitting plans. But for that, it's a colorwork sweater. So this is my base color of just white. And then I got, a few contrasting colors as well. It's kind of hard to pull them all out of here, but we'll see. We got this. I'm really excited for this project. That's probably the one I am most anticipating, but I did get some yarn for several other projects as well. One of them is the Fat Timeless sweater, which the suggested yarn I think is like a cotton held with kind of thicker fluffy yarn, like not a lace weight mohair, which is the most typical one I've used. So for this one, I got Drops Muscat, which is a mercerized cotton. This is the color Light Mint with Drops Brushed Alpaca Silk in the color, I think it's Pistachio Ice Cream. And I had this left over from a previous project, and I thought this would be a really fun color combination. I think it'll look nice, hopefully, with my skin tone. And this will be knit on slightly thicker needles, I think maybe like 6mm. So I'm very tempted to start this one as well because I think it'll knit up really quickly. It's a really like simple pattern. So I think that could be fun to have on the side as I'm working on like a more complex color pattern, color work, as I'm working on like the Wishbone cable sweater. So we'll see. I might be kind of naughty and start this one as well. But yeah, I have a bunch more yarn in here, but it's kind of hard to take it all out of the bag, and I most likely will just kind of introduce it later on as I start the projects that will go along with it. I don't have it totally figured out, but I have some ideas. Like I want to make a basic black sweater that I can just throw on. I want to make a gray sweater, maybe not totally plain, but like something light gray, just because it is so fun to make, more statement colors. It's more fun to knit, and then it's really fun to wear, but I just like the idea of having more basic sweaters that I can throw on and get a lot of use out of, and that would make me feel really good because I've put the time into knitting it, and so the idea that I could get even more use out of it is very appealing. So that describes, more of the yarn that I have in there, and I am very excited to dive into those projects and talk about them more in the future. So if you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I really don't know how this video will go since it's my first time, but hopefully it's just up from here. And feel free to like, comment, even give me a follow if you would like to see my future videos. As I've referenced, I'm going to make a fall knitting plans video, and then I'm also planning to go to the New York City yarn crawl, which, as I'm filming this, is this coming weekend, and hopefully we'll have some fun acquisitions to share from that. Maybe I'll even make a vlog. So yeah, fun stuff in the future. As I said, thank you so much if you made it to this point, and hopefully I will talk to you again soon. Bye.